New polling out this week shows that the overwhelming majority of Americans, regardless of their political affiliation, want the development of superintelligent AI to be banned. This agrees with every other poll we have had on this topic. The average person is pretty sensible. They know that if we build AI models that are better than us at everything before we figure out how to make sure they're aligned with our values, how to make sure they're controllable, that would end in disaster for us and would pose a significant risk of human extinction. The average person obviously doesn't want to die, doesn't want their family to die, so that's why they want it to be banned. There was a whole host of questions that were asked in this recent polling that asked voters across America, and they're saying some pretty reasonable things. So 80% of voters support keeping humans in charge of AI with strong oversight versus just 10% who favour fast, lightly regulated development. That is what the AI accelerationists and the AI companies want, and it is grossly unpopular with the American public. The American public know we need regulation. 77% believe that AI must stay under human control. Again, entirely reasonable. 69% want to prevent AI monopolies and the short-term concentration of power that could come with that. 73% support protecting children and families from AI systems. We have already seen a whole host of cases and lawsuits that have come from them where chatbots have convinced teenagers to kill themselves and do other horrific stuff. We need regulation. These chatbots are not safe. AI companies don't know how to robustly make sure that they don't do this kind of thing. And obviously, no parent wants their teenager talking to a chatbot that convinces them to kill themselves. That is a ridiculous situation. AI companies have not been responsible. They have not made sure that their models can't do this before they release them. So we need regulation. 72% of Americans believe AI companies should be held legally responsible if their AI models cause harm in the real world. Now, this may sound like the craziest thing you've ever heard, because it is the craziest thing you've ever heard. But right now, if an AI company releases a model and it goes on to kill hundreds of people, right now there is no national law in America that would mean they are legally responsible for the harm caused by that model. That is obviously ridiculous. There are currently more regulations on restaurants to make sure that their food is hygienic and doesn't give people food poisoning than there are regulations on the companies building the most transformative technology of all time that they themselves admit could literally kill all humans on the planet. This is a ridiculous situation to find ourselves in. Laws that would hold AI companies responsible for the harms that their models cause have been proposed in California and New York. The threshold at which AI companies would be fined if their models cause harm is over 100 deaths or $1 billion in damages, right? And still, the accelerationists, the super PACs, the AI companies lobbied against those laws. They think that an AI company should have to pay no penalty whatsoever if their model kills over 100 people. Time and time again, they lied about these laws. They tried to convince politicians that it would destroy innovation. But you know what? I think that human life is a little bit more important than innovation. And if your model kills over 100 people, that you should be held responsible for that. And here is the headline stat. 69% of Americans agree that superintelligence should be prohibited until there is scientific consensus that it can be developed safely and controllably. This is the same text that was in the statement on superintelligence, which I and about 150,000 other people signed. The American public are smart enough to understand that it should be illegal to build superintelligent AI that's better than all humans at everything, before they know how to make sure that it doesn't kill us all. To argue against that is absolutely insane. For some reason, 9% of Americans don't think that it should be illegal to build superintelligence before making sure that it's safe. I'd love to sit these people down and ask them what their reasons are, but it's just 9% of people that agree with the insane AI accelerationists, and it's 69% of Americans who are on the side of humanity, who are on the side of reason, who know that we shouldn't allow this race to continue until the companies have any idea whatsoever of, first of all, how their models work, and secondly, how to control them, how to give them values that are aligned with our own, and how to make sure they will act in our interest and not destroy us all. Voters were also asked to choose between two statements, whether they prefer fast, lightly regulated development that accelerates AI as quickly as possible, and another option was to go slow, have a measured approach, make sure at each step that we understand how the models work, we understand how to control them, and almost all voters chose the statement that said we need a slow, measured approach. And this is a hugely bipartisan result. So 89% of Kamala Harris voters supported the slow statement, and 73% of Trump voters supported the slow statement. So the current Trump administration, by allowing AI companies to accelerate as fast as they want, and the current Starmer administration in the United Kingdom, by allowing AI companies to accelerate as fast as they want, and every other government on the planet are going against the will of the voters, assuming that these results would generalize to other countries, of course. So this is another great stat. So 77% of Americans think that AI companies should be forced to give their models to the government or to some independent organization to make sure that the models are safe before they are allowed to release them. This is, of course, very sensible. When it comes to drugs, if a drug company wants to develop a new drug and sell it to people, they are forced to make sure that it is safe, and there is a government body that makes sure the drug is safe before it's allowed to be released to market. Right now, an AI company can release an AI model that could be capable of developing bioweapons, helping people to develop nuclear weapons, and exacerbate a whole host of risks. And they can release that model without any legal liability, without any government body that checks and makes sure that the model is safe. This is just absurd. There is the AI Security Institute in the UK that does have some voluntary agreements with companies to test their models. Of course, this should not be voluntary. The Labour government promised that they were going to put that on a statutory footing. They are still yet to do that. They're dragging their feet through the mud. And in America, I believe their AI Safety Institute, which got renamed by the Trump administration to drop the word safety from it because he thinks it's woke nonsense, which of course is ridiculous. But nowhere in the world are AI companies required to give their models to some independent body to make sure that they're safe before they're allowed to release them. This is absurd, and the American public agree with me on that. This polling has been released alongside the Pro-Human AI Declaration, which is a new set of statements from the Future of Life Institute. So the people who were doing this polling are in favour of all of these statements, so there is some possibility for bias here, but I'll leave a link in the description below where you can go and check the polling questions for yourself, which are all available to the public. I don't think they are particularly biased. I think they give a fair reflection of the arguments from both sides, but you can go check for yourself if you want.